Welcome back to Mom's Basement. Steve, take it away.
Mom's Basement is a podcast where we discuss video games, movies, and other nerd culture that shaped our lives. From deep inside Mom's basement, we dust off the old goodies that we feel deserve a spotlight in modern gaming and pop culture, all without wearing pants. And I would add that to enhance the realism, based off of our friend Jordan, we are actually not wearing pants this episode.
Yes, we had to actually remove them. So if you're of legal age, please join us and remove your pants as well. And so today on Mom's Basement, what we are going to be talking about is the one, the only, if you remember from last time, boom, we're going to be talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 and the whole franchise itself. Maybe not the whole franchise itself, just the good points. And it's going to be very good. So Tony Hawk is a skateboarding video game. It was published by Activision and endorsed by Tony Hawk. It started in about 2007, and in 2020 they revitalized the series just very recently, and they remade the first and the second game. And as I heard from Mickey earlier, the second most rated game overall ever of games was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, which I thought was interesting. Before we begin, we're going to go to the second most important part of today is what are we drinking? So, Steve, what do we got on the palette for today?
A nice 10-year Lafroig. So pumping the brakes on the absinthe this week.
Yeah, maybe it's from all of the... you forgot where you put it because the absinthe is going to your brain. Mickey, what are we drinking this week?
I am actually just drinking a raspberry monster.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Pete, what crap are you drinking this week?
Water.
I knew it. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, it's not. My hopes were so low, and it didn't even meet my hopes. I'm drinking as well with Steve today a little bit of whiskey, but I have it cut with a little bit of Earl Grey tea actually. So it's like it's a warm whiskey. It's very nice. Cheers. So cheers, you guys, and. Without where is it? I always forget this. If you're watching at home, I do have a hand on my shoulder. It's a little bit of a genetic mutation, but hopefully you guys are enjoying yourself and sit back, relax today, and enjoy.
Hand.
Yeah, my baby hand. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Mom's Basement this week. So let's get right into it on Mom's Basement. So, Mickey, why are we talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater this week?
Well, one, it's just an awesome game, and I skateboarded. I'm pretty sure you skateboarded as well.
Correct.
Not correct?
Yes.
And we just had a remake of Tony Hawk 1 and Tony Hawk 2, and those games are amazing, and you should definitely check them out.
Yes, I agree. There's really nothing. That's really why we're talking about it, is because they're just being remade and they're out, and it's really fun. So let's get right into this one today, Steve. I always start with you on this. Let's actually start with Pete today, because this was one of the games that me and him actually played a lot. I know, it's weird. He's drinking water. We have to give him some sort of credit. But Pete, what do you remember about playing, not the remake that just came out, but Tony Hawk 1, Tony Hawk 2. What do you remember about these games when you were growing up? Oh, you got them. Oh, that is all right. Pete redeemed himself. You redeemed yourself. That's very good.
You're unslothable tonight,
at
least for now.
Yeah. At least for now. I have my hand over the button, but.
While I was playing Tony Hawk 1.
All right, sloth.
No. All right, it's fine. No. So the memories I had, I have some from 1, some from 2. Tony Hawk 1, the memory I had was sitting down with Doug, the TV show from Nickelodeon, in the background while playing the Downhill Jam, and I was trying to get the secret tape. And I remember sitting there for an hour and a half trying to make this one jump that took 45 seconds to get to, just to keep trying and trying and trying. And then 2, it was always doing versus against you at the school in Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah, correct. We did a lot of that. For Mickey, what was Tony Hawk and Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Not Tony Hawk. What was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 for you when you were first playing it originally?
It was just being in my room trying to top another high score and trying to unlock the next character, because they had such great unlockable characters.
Yeah.
Like Tony Hawk 2, Spider-Man. I mean, can you get better?
I forgot about those. Yeah, you could actually get like weird dudes to skateboard around, and they had like the Spidey flip where you like grab with you. Yeah, I remember all this now. I completely forgot about that. But yeah, totally. Steve, what about you? What was your memory of Tony Hawk as a kid?
So, for me, I'm gonna admit something that I've held deep,
All
a
right,
deep
we might have to
secret for my
sloth
entire
Steve.
life.
We're gonna be careful here.
I was, so, skateboarding culture was huge back in the 90s. I mean, absolutely huge. And I was what you would like to call a poser, um, where, I was fascinated by the culture. I love the image of skateboarding, like the Vans or Airwalks, the big, Janko jeans, baggy pants,
Totally.
skateboard t-shirts. But I couldn't skateboard for a damn. I mean, I'm just like the biggest klutz, like, walking was tough. But this was a game where you could like become a pro skater and just feel awesome. And that's really what I remember is just like grinding out, grinding out rails and like doing kick flips and like trying to pull off the 900. And it's just like, I feel awesome.
Yep. Totally. It's very similar to me. As with Mickey, I did skateboard a lot as a kid. I had gone to skate parks. Sometimes my dad took me and one of my friends, Spencer, if you're watching, I don't know, but me and him went to skate parks every once in a while. And we were terrible, but damn it, we tried. And I hurt myself more than I landed any trick ever. But I attempted a lot. I like broke bones trying to skateboard, but it's this game, as Steve said too, I wasn't good at it. I wanted to be good at it and I couldn't, but with this game I could do literally anything with that controller. So it was my way to escape, and it kind of like got me into skateboarding. I didn't skateboard before I played this game. I played this game and then I started skateboarding. So for me it was like that whole hobby of mine was spurred off of this game in itself. So looking at this now in the game itself was a lot of fun, but I want to hear Pete's secret tape thing like that he always remembered. I remember the very first level that you started on, Pete. What was that? That was called like the garage, or what was the very first level that the warehouse? Yeah, you would drop in immediately, and then there was a half pipe, and you'd go and you'd always do like, I forget what it's called, like an indie grab through the glass of the thing up top, and then you land on the other side, and then you do the rail
Signature
up
move.
it. Yeah, it was like every time it was like, well, you have to do an indie mute through the glass barrier. That's the first move always in that game. But that was my that was my image. And then like on the school, you would start and you would like grind down a whole bunch of escalators and stuff like that down to where you could do wall rides and things like that. I don't remember the game being like super hard. I was actually kind of decent at video games when I was playing Tony Hawk, so I was able to like get everything. And I remember the unlocking system of like being able to be like, oh, I can ollie a little bit better. Like you would beat games, you would beat levels, you would like start winning stuff, and then you could add your skill points in, and by the end of the game everyone was like a superhuman god that could like ollie like 2.5 feet, not 2.5, like 2.5 meters, and then just like land completely like sideways moving at 100 miles an hour and be like, nope, fine, no issue. So it was just cool. I really liked that. But Pete, what was some other things about the game itself, or like just Tony Hawk, or just I mean, me and you would kind of skateboard a little bit. I remember we bought Dragon Ball Z skateboards at Best Buy once.
No, Media Play.
Oh, Media Play, that was it. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they were terrible skateboards when we bought them.
So it kind of fit for me into it was that you and I were both probably still right around like 10 or under, but we used to watch the X Games, and we actually watched the day that Tony Hawk landed the 900.
Yep. On
and
TV
so
Live,
all we wanted to do after that, so I don't remember if the game came out before or after that period of time.
It was around that
it
time.
was what so it was what Steve said. It's being able to be those characters and then eventually choose your own special tricks, and then going through all the challenges. I remember as a kid, I had a really hard time with the tournaments, especially when it got to like Tony Hawk 2, I think, is when they really got harder because you had to string together so much crap to get a high score. But yeah, and then other than that, I remember that was also the first game I had nightmares of, because in Tony Hawk 1...
It's a pretty scary game.
yeah. Tony Hawk 1. Tony Hawk 1, legit. Roswell, New Mexico. You told me if I went into that room... You told me if I went into the room, the alien would come alive and chase me, so I never went in there.
I was an asshole. I remember that. Yeah, he'd give you nightmares about a skateboarding game. That's the kind of brother I am. Yeah. Very good, Mickey. What about you? Like, I know that you had gone back and played it a little bit. Well, what's something that kind of sticks with you when you think about like Tony Hawk from when you were younger?
Well, I had the PlayStation version, and they would put in like little skateboard videos. And
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch so many skateboard videos with my oldest brother because if I was mediocre at best, he was really good, and that's some of like the best moments I have of him, and just being able to unlock some of those things. I'm like, hey, I remember that from this video from 411. Like Harold Hunter, just such a good skateboarder. Just his kickflips were beautiful.
Yeah.
And being able to like having another media access so people can watch that and maybe get into like, because I learned a lot of tricks from watching them skate and then going to skate parks and hurting myself.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's how I did it too. I could never grind anything. That was my biggest regret. I always wanted to grind something, but I couldn't balance and I couldn't ollie high enough. I could ollie while moving. I could do a standing kickflip. I could do moves not moving. I could do them, but as soon as it was like move a little bit, nope, just gonna fall on my wrist every time. My right wrist every time.
I could never actually pop shove it, but I could 360 shove it.
Yeah, right.
It was just.
Yeah, I could do like 2 cool tricks. And it was like, don't ask me to move, but if I'm standing still, I can do them.
Do you remember the little black stands that they had at Kroger?
Yes.
Like, I may have stolen one of those because they were perfect.
It's fine. We're past the limit of what is it? The stringent limitations. Statute of limitations. Yeah, it should be. It should be. It's only live on the internet. No problem. And Steve,
no.
Did you? I know that I skateboarded a bunch, but you never like. I never skateboarded with you. I don't have any memories of skateboarding with you. I remember skateboarding with Pete a little bit. But like, what was like Tony Hawk besides just the video game for you? I know that you had like the poser stuff like that we talked about. It's funny. But like, was there other stuff from Steve that was like going on during that for Tony Hawk?
So I think, to me it was one, like an intro into sports games, and again, like I feel like at least with my memory, I was always interested in the skateboard culture, the skater culture, like I talked about before. I remember going over to one of my friends' houses, my friend Mike Frazier, and he was a big rollerblader and hung out with like all those kids, and he could do all that. He was amazing.
I remember him ripping up my bike tires in my garage, like sliding through the garage with my bikes and like completely muting the tires. Yeah, I remember that. He was really good. Yeah.
But it's like there was all of those kind of like those extreme sports like BMX biking, rollerblading, and skateboarding, and Tony Hawk really like took skateboarding, I think, to the next level. So to me, it's like I remember going and like hunting for tapes, and I remember like trying to do tricks, and I remember like really appreciating the different levels. I loved I think it was like one of the city levels where you get hit by cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But to me, it was like that elevated skateboarding. Like, I mean, Tony Hawk, I really feel like did for skateboarding what Tiger Woods did for golf.
Oh, that's a really good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it. I agree with that. That's such a good way to put that. It was well said.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I mean, he also had that rivalry with Bob Burnquist, and that was like who would one up another, and it was just, what are these two gonna do next?
Yep.
Yeah.
And and I mean, like, we weren't. I don't think any of us were really like sports kids. Like, no, I mean, I remember
not with these genetics.
I remember, but like I remember like being a kid and like watching Michael Jordan play basketball, right? And like the iconic athletes that I have in my mind from my childhood, it's like Michael Jordan was the basketball player, right? Best basketball player of all time.
Yep.
Tiger Woods was the best golfer of all time, and Tony Hawk was the best skateboarder of all time.
Yep.
I mean, it's like he's right up there with those guys to me.
Totally. So let's push this back to the remake now. So Pete replayed basically the old games again. He didn't play the newest one, but he replayed the old ones. I also replayed the old ones that I have. Mickey, did you play the old ones or just the newest ones that came out?
I played the new ones.
And Steve, did you get anything, the newer ones or the
old ones? I've been playing the new ones with the kids. Like,
oh, that's great. That sounds fun. Yeah. So I want to ask, after going back for a long time, one thing that stuck with me was I listened to the music of the newest games, and I was like immediately like, I have to mute this. Like I can't, I couldn't listen to it. If it was a song that came up on the original Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I was like, this is a really great song. I remember this was really nostalgic, and I was like, oh, it's fun. But like the new songs that came in, I was just like, no, I can't. And I had to like turn it off, and I had to like listen to other things. But yeah, like the original one that I played still had all the old songs, so I was really happy with it. But
you know what's really neat, what I really appreciated about it, and to go a little woke, I love in the new game it includes many skateboarders of color, and I think that's awesome.
So
and it integrates in music that while it wasn't in the original, it caters to a larger audience, and I think it really opens it up to invite more people in and show people like how cool skateboarding is.
100%. And this is what I was actually just talking to my wife about this when I was driving back home this morning with her, and I was listening to the music in the car, and I was like, man, when I think about the mood that I would skateboard in, this music is not that mood. I didn't listen to this kind of stuff when I was skateboarding, but the newer generation that is skateboarding now will listen to this. I was like, I completely respect that. I just can't listen to this music because it's not what I think about when I skateboard. So like I had to turn it off and like listen to other things because I played the original one, I muted the music, and I put on the new playlist to try to get like that's how I try to do it. And I saw the new character selection. So yeah, like bringing in like this whole new wave of skaters and like putting that into the game, I thought was really, really interesting and a lot of fun. And I'll say it, the old game still holds up a little bit. It's a little bit clunky. It's a little bit clunky, a little bit slow. So before I talk to you guys about the new game, I want to hear Pete talk about his experience with replaying original Tony Hawk 1 and 2. And let me ask a question. Pete, am I mistaken that Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 did not have the manual? That was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 that introduced the manual, right?
That was the first
thing. Because I kept trying to fucking manual in Tony Hawk 1. I was like, why can't they fucking manual?
The very first thing I was going to say is the biggest difference between 1 and 2 was adding the manual.
Yes.
Being able to manual and string your crap together made it so much easier to get high scores and all that.
Yeah, because I was playing,
and I remember,
like, fuck, get the manual.
I know, yeah. And so like Tony Hawk 1 it's honestly, it was unplayable. I couldn't play it.
Wow, bold statements.
Wow.
But when I got into 2, and they had just taken a little bit of time to
unplayable, Jesus.
When I had gotten into 2 and they cleaned it up, I spent way more time on 2 than I did on 1, and I was playing it on Nintendo 64 instead of PlayStation.
The shitty controller, how was that after so long?
Yeah, horrible. Horrible. So that was probably a major contributing factor to how difficult it was to play.
Do you think though, Pete? Because I've messed around on the levels on the remake of both 1 and 2, and I remember, I feel like, and maybe this is like taboo, but I feel like the levels in 1 were better than 2.
See, actually, I agree with you there. What I loved about 1 was the diversity, where some levels, it's like, here's a giant half pipe, good luck. And then other, it's like, I can only do street tricks right now. Or some of them are literally, it's like, I have until I get to the bottom, like the shopping mall, like you get 1 go at everything. And if you wreck, sorry. It's it wasn't until 2 that they started making it. So it's like, oh, well, if you get to the end, it'll reset you back to the beginning until you run out of time. Yeah. 1 actually had ending zones where it's like you hit end and like you're just done with that level.
Mm-hmm.
So what
Mickey,
do you think, Mickey?
Yeah,
I'm curious about that.
Going into the old and the new.
So in the newer one, they actually aged the skaters to where they would be now, and that's just awesome. They added manuals for Tony Hawk for the 1, so you can manual and all that.
Playable.
Yes. They added a couple of new soundtracks, which I loved.
Oh, okay.
Goldfinger, Superman. You cannot hear that song and not immediately think Tony Hawk.
Okay. I agree.
I've got to say about the music, Power Man 5000, Push It. That's the first time I've heard that song in like 21 years.
That's exactly. I was like,
that one did not survive the test of time. And then it was just like, oh, you push it. Yes.
Oh, it was good.
I would also say maybe the school in the first one, I still think is better than School 2. Okay. Downhill Jam still sucks. There's no saving that level.
I think the school 1 is probably, to me, the best Tony Hawk level. I love
Most iconic.
School 1.
There's a lot to do. Like you couldn't do all of it in one run. You have to be like, okay, I'm gonna go down the ramp to the right and go to the half pipe area, or I'm gonna go down the stairs front and do like the street area. Like you had to kind of pick. You couldn't.
Well, did they add?
Yeah.
Because now you can go in the gym, and you can go on the roof.
I think you could always do the gym. I think the gym was in the first one as well. I just never knew about it as a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that level's huge.
Oh yeah. It is, and it's just so good. Like they took the source code from Tony Hawk 1 and 2, and that was the base for the new games. So it really is like playing the original, but with enhanced graphics, better control scheme, because the N64 one was a terrible control scheme.
You had to hold like a banana like with another banana. It's like, and then do tricks. You're like, how the fuck? My knuckles are like rammed together. Yeah.
I was playing it on the Xbox One version, and I know Steve was playing it on the PlayStation. Because it just there are certain games that are better with different controllers, and Tony Hawk is definitely better on a PlayStation controller. It just
hands down.
It's easier to play.
So then, did the newer game feel like a different game, or did it feel like a polished version of the original?
It felt more polished. It was just like riding up. Well, I would say like riding a bike, but
riding
it was
a skateboard.
just like being
like riding a skateboard.
Yes, but there's a reason why it is like riding a bike and not like riding a skateboard. You will hurt yourself.
This is true. Yeah, I've not like broken my ankle on a bike.
I felt the same way, Mickey. To me it was like it was coming home. It was like, oh my god, immediately. So I had it as early as like the demo on the warehouse, and then sitting down and playing it for the first time, it was like, oh, I remember why I love this game. It's beautiful.
Was it hard to like re-get your hands and do the tricks again? Or I mean, Mickey, I know you did that.
I was always trapped. I was always trapped. I was like, how are you getting scores so high, Mickey? And it's like, manual. What's that?
You gotta do like this. Do that.
And, Pete, if you do want to hate yourself, if you get this game, you can switch it to the control scheme for Tony Hawk 1, where they will eliminate the manual.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
not a problem.
Oh my god. So I think we've talked about kind of what Tony Hawk was, what it is now, and we've got about 7 minutes left of the episode. So I still want to get into the final thoughts and things like that. But before we do that, I want to hear kind of where skateboarding is moving forward. So in 2020, right now, unfortunately we have the corona virus pandemic, so Olympics were canceled this year. But I firmly believe because of this game, Olympics this year were going to feature skateboarding for the first time. If this game didn't exist, it would never, ever, ever have gotten the highlighting and the spotlight that it needed to be able to be considered an Olympic sport. X Games, I think, were created, and I mean, skateboarding was born out of Tony Hawk and like Rodney Mullen and these people that were like around and just trying to like learn like, oh, what do we do? Like it used to be like the big longboards, and then like they wanted to go faster and be able to do more tricks, so it was cut down, and then they changed the shape of it, and then the ramps got bigger, and then they were like, oh, we could do this anywhere now, and then the board technology got better. And yeah, me and Pete used to watch X Games all the time, and it was just like all of that wouldn't be the same if it was just trying to become like another sport, like a football or a soccer or a basketball, where people would have to come and watch. Because there was this game, I think that's what really erupted it out and pushed it into the future. So if you agree, if you disagree, I want to hear. But what else do you think is moving forward with skateboarding now because of, these remakes and stuff like that? What do you guys think?
I mean, one of the coolest things that I learned after this game came out was, do you remember the movie Mallrats?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Jason Lee was a professional skater. I don't really think he would have gotten that kind of attention.
Oh yeah.
Which, let's just say, my name is Earl. Come on, get him in the game. Get him in the game.
Yeah. I agree.
But just it helped you break out a little bit.
Skaters were punks. Skaters were punks when I was a kid, right? Like it was cool to be a skater if you were a skater, but it wasn't like a socially, like it wasn't as respected as being like a professional baseball player. Well, or like a professional golfer or something like that.
And
but I think
even
it's
what I
getting
was
more
talking
like
about,
now.
right? It was really it was very much like, almost an elitist counterculture or a clique, right? Because like I said, like I characterize myself as a dork, and that's how I kind of identified. But
Yeah.
like for all you kids out there listening now, all you youngsters, back in the 90s, like it was big into cliques. Like there were the jocks, there were the cheerleaders, there were the goth kids, there were the skaters,
Yeah, I was
and
in
there
the
was the
skater
rest
group.
of us.
I was in the skaters that listened to Limp Bizkit group was what I was in middle school. I was like the skateboard kid in middle school. Yeah.
But I think and like you said, like with the skaters being punks, it's like there was this whole culture about like, are you a skater or are you a poser? Do you actually do the skating or are you just dressing like this?
You just carry a skateboard, yeah.
But I think like a game like Tony Hawk brought this into the limelight, and I think that this remake kind of brings skateboarding back into the limelight. I mean, like, do you guys know that? So the unlockable character, Officer Dick. Did you hear?
Oh,
what's
no.
going on with him?
Oh no, I remember this though.
It's Jack Black. Jack Black's likeness and voice in the new Tony Hawk game.
I need to maybe pick up the new game.
It's
now.
amazing. Oh, you have to.
It's really good. It really is.
I mean, I had a lot of fun playing the old one. And I could see like me picking it back up and just playing occasionally.
I mean, it's not even a full price game.
No, it's $30.
And you get two games for
40.
Yeah.
$40, yeah. But you know what was the coolest thing, and then I want to hear from Pete too. But the coolest thing for me, I had my nephews over for a sleepover last weekend, and me, my wife, my 3 kids, and my 2 nephews sat on the couch on one TV, not multiplayer connected, and we took turns playing Tony Hawk.
Oh wow, okay, this is great, yeah.
And that to me, it's like, this is amazing, because they were asking questions about what song is this. You know, like they were shouting out the trick names, and they were learning about skateboarding and getting really interested in it. And that to me is just like, this is why I love this game.
Wow. That's a great experience, because that's what it was.
Magic.
That's what it was. You would maybe have 2 controllers, but it was really like take turns
pass the
and
controller.
Yeah, and see like, oh, that's a cool trick, or like, let me try to beat your score, and like, yeah.
And they were getting so into that. Like scores virtually in games today don't exist. They are absent. It's about completion, it's about achievements, it's about story, right? And those things are still like in Tony Hawk, you still get achievements and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it becomes about like my score right now. It's not about my achievement score. It's not about I unlocked this. It's about let's go head to head right now. I bet you I can beat your score. Check this out.
Yeah, right? That's a really good point.
And it was fantastic. It was awesome.
System, yeah. Pete, what about your experience of coming back to and playing with people?
Man, honestly, Tony Hawk was the reason I bought a skateboard. I mean, I was a fat kid, so I loved the gaming portion of it.
Here it comes.
But
the game portion of it.
Yeah, no.
I was a fat kid, and I'm not anymore. Now my brother Steve's fat.
No.
He's rubbing his
so
neck.
It was the taking turns of it. It was watching Dan sit down and string together the longest combo of moves ever, to the point where, like, when you start the manual, the thing moves like barely, and then by the end of it, it's like going like this.
Yeah,
it's like, how is he not falling?
I would break
watch
the game.
You do that, and I would get You literally, I would have to turn on moon physics to get the score as high as yours.
Yeah, it was good. I remember I liked it if you were doing a trick and the timer ended. If you kept stringing tricks together, the timer would just continue going.
Overtime.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I would play like a minute and a half.
Minutes
yeah. I'd play like a minute and a half past the overtime. Like, oh, I missed the manual, and it'd be like just the points, million.
Are we also just again going to talk about the tech deck?
Oh, for God's sakes! You guys bought tech decks. Okay,
Jesus.
we'll do this before the final. This will be it. So
leaving.
what other? Yeah. What other? So what did?
Read him and weep.
What did? It was funny before the podcast. Steve showed that tech deck, and I was like, "That's blind, isn't it?" Like I knew immediately what it was. It was like, why is this information still like? Literally, I haven't thought about this crap for like 20 years, and I saw it, and I was like, "That's not Hawk. That's not Falcon." It's Reaper, but I think the company itself was Blind, was the company that made their little Reaper dude, and I really liked blind boards, and I always wanted one, but I never got one.
I will admit I had a shorties board. The Chad Muska one too.
Yeah.
I idolized him when I was younger.
Muska was good.
This was skateboarding for kids who couldn't skateboard.
Yeah,
Or play
didn't have fat fingers. Yeah. I remember Pete and I had all like the tech deck like ramps and crap like that. Like I remember for like Christmas one year we got like probably $70 worth of like all of the tech deck shit.
But again, like this something
just
like this.
Your parents buying.
Yeah,
I know, right?
This something like this wouldn't exist without Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Totally not.
Absolutely.
Totally not. But I remember one of my favorite things about skateboarding. Before we go into this, so Mickey, I want to hear about what you think about this too. One of my favorite things I used to do with my skateboard was just take it apart and put it back together, like constantly, down to like the bearings and stuff like that. And I would always do like, do I want to put shocks on this, or do I want to take my shocks off? Like, if I take off the shocks on the rear, I can get a little more tail length on it, and I can get a better ollie. So I like knew all the crap that I wanted to do. I just couldn't do anything on the skateboard itself. Like I knew all the. It was like having like the ability to like do advanced calculus, but your algebra is garbage. That's how I did skateboarding. That was terrible.
I had like the biggest wheels with like 2 to 3 risers, and my little screws were like that long just to make it work. And it was just I could just fly, but I could pop an ollie about 2.5 feet, or I don't know how many meters that is.
Yeah, it's like a meter. No, but like I remember in school when I was in. I don't even remember. I was in elementary school. No, maybe junior high school. I was in junior high school, and we had to do like a show and tell. And I was like, I'm going to show how to do an ollie in front of my whole class. And I did the best fucking ollie I've ever done in my life. I was like, if I was standing, I could like ollie directly onto a desk table. Like I did like waist high. I was like, and everyone in the class was like, after that, I was like, I'm never bringing my skateboard out again. Like, I've hit the pinnacle of my ability in front of an audience. I'm fucking done. It was amazing, but like I have that memory in my mind. It was the best ollie ever.
You know the Wexler Medical Building, right?
Yes, correct.
How they had that huge ledge.
Mm-hmm.
I ollied off the very top of it, no problem.
Really?
It was just one of the coolest moments ever. The security guard just like dispersed us, and I'm like, yeah, hit a pole.
Oh yeah, of course, totally.
But do you remember when that Walmart had that RC racing that they would do? There was that big wooden platform.
Oh
Walmart RC racing.
Too scared to ollie off of that. Too scared.
I don't remember this.
They had RC racing in their parking lot.
Yeah, it was. They had like a nice, awesome platform. It was about 6 feet long, and you could I would say about 5.5, 6 feet tall, and you could. My friend Brandon would ollie off that thing, try to kickflip it. It was just, and then I would go and stop, and go and stop.
Yeah.
Like I was just terrified of doing it.
You know what? Also, this is so again. I completely forgot this, and because I know we're running short on time. I was watching some Facebook videos from Steve-O from Jackass.
Oh yeah.
And you can sponsor this, Steve-O, absolutely. But
he's watching.
But he's.
I'll put him in the tag. Put Steve-O as a tag if he watches.
Marilyn Manson was last week. This week.
Yeah, Steve's like,
no, we should do it, Jason Lee.
Yeah,
we need to start the petition to get him in Tony Hawk.
I'll put everyone in the comments.
But Jackass essentially were a bunch of guys. Like a lot of those guys were skateboarders.
Yep.
Bam was a huge skateboarder.
Yeah, Bam was a professional. Yep.
And those initial Jackass videos were skateboard crashes, skateboard wrecks, and doing crazy shit on skateboards.
Yeah, that was it, and that's how it began. And that's my image of skateboarders. That's why I said originally, like skateboarders were punks. When I was growing up, that was the image of skateboarders. It was just like complete, like just punks. And now it's like a legit. It's an Olympic sport now. It's an Olympic sport.
It would have been.
It's only delayed. It's not canceled.
I know.
Well, I will also say that I started off as a poser, and then my friend started skateboarding, and they were like, "Oh, do the stuff that you were telling me you could do." I'm like, and then they were like, "You don't know anything, do you?" I'm like, "No, I don't." But you know what they said? They were like, "Hey, here's a Think skateboard. We'll teach you."
That's
and it was just one of those like, "You're not gonna make fun of me?" Like, No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
welcome
and,
in. Yeah.
and that's the thing too. Is like those guys were super cool.
Yeah.
Like, like skateboarders were cool people.
I remember
and they were good people.
I remember one of the first times I went to a skate park. I don't remember where it was, but there was a really big hill next to it, and I had never experienced road wobble before. And if you don't know what road wobble is, the bearings of your wheels and like the actual truck itself that connects the wheels, if you're moving at a certain speed, that starts to like vibrate. And if it vibrates too much, it starts to shake, and then your whole board starts to do this while you're going really fast. And if you don't control it perfectly, it goes like this, and then you roll down the hill. And I remember I got road burn for the first time, just ate shit down this big sloped hill. And everyone at the park came over and were like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No, I'm not okay at all. Like, I fucked up my arm. It's really, really, it's just not everything is okay and we're going to be happy about it." I was in a horrible state. And there was, but I remember like, it wasn't like laughing or anything like it, probably because it was like, I was really fucked up when I fell down that hill. But it was also like people come over and it was more of a community rather than like an exclusive thing. I felt it was more inclusive. But yeah, there was this weird thing in schools, I think, that if you were a quote unquote poser, you were like,
because again, clicks were so
exactly.
big.
That was kind of what it is. So there's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with Tony Hawk for forever, but I think we've hit some of the major points. So let's start wrapping this up. Let's get into the final part of the Mom's Basement, the rating systems. So Pete, out of 5 tech deck boards, how many tech deck boards do you give Tony Hawk 1 and 2, the remake or whatever it is, and then why?
So I would say the original Tony Hawk I would give a 4, and Tony Hawk 2 I would give a 5.
Okay.
Main reason was I think the game was finally complete when they just cleaned up the controls. They added the manual.
I like how Pete's unplayable is still a rank 4. So I just want to put that out there.
It's because of the memories. It's when you throw this blue cartridge in and you're just like, I cannot wait to play Tony Hawk. And I remember sitting trying to get the 900 and like all the other airs and the grinds and stuff. It was still fun. Like I loved the challenge of it. But yeah, then once 2 came around and they cleaned it up and they added the manual and more stuff, I think that was where most of the memories for me were. So that's why I'd give 1 a 4 and then 2 5.
I love it. Mickey, what's your rating for Tony Hawk and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2?
Okay. Well, one, you have to kind of do it in 2 different ways.
Okay.
The soundtrack and the game.
Okay.
Both 5 out of 5 for me.
All right.
Just it got me into liking ska. I mean, it's still today. It's the test of time. Fight me on that one.
I'll die on that hill.
I'm getting blocked, aren't I?
That's fine. Not today.
And then
Not today. I only got 1.
And then gameplay. Pure arcadey awesomeness is the best way you can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
I agree.
Steve, what's your going?
So again, I think revisiting the music, I would agree absolutely 5 out of 5. I think that was one of those games where, like I want to say it was GTA, was it Vice City where they started to include like actual songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that was one of the first games that really did that, and then Tony Hawk did that as well, right? You had actual music that you could sit and listen to that was about the time, and it was fantastic music. It was the music I was into. I would have said before, like just sitting down and I watched videos and like replayed a little bit of the emulated some of the original ones, and they were okay. So I would have initially said like 3 or 4, but putting in the remake and having that experience with my kids, like Mickey said, pure arcadey goodness.
Yeah.
Easy 5 on the new one. If you don't have it, go pick it up. It's amazing.
There it is. So for me, I didn't play the newest one. I just listened to the soundtrack. And again, I talked about it a little bit. For me, I'm going to do the Mickey as well. I'm going to separate it. And I'm going to give the new soundtrack a 3 because it still contains.
Not my soundtrack.
yeah, not my soundtrack. This is the first game. I'll say this is the first game ever that I listened to it. I was like, I feel old from having this opinion. Like, I respect the soundtrack. There's nothing wrong with it. But for me, it gets a 3 because it's not exactly what I wanted it to be from what it was originally. So that's it. It's what it is there. But Pro Skater 1, I'll also give it a 3 because it doesn't have the manual, which was like, how the fuck do you beat like the scores on this game without like manuals? Couldn't do it. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I will up and give it a 5 for the game itself, and a lot of it is just for the nostalgia and just remembering all that kind of stuff, especially as Steve was saying, like just having one controller and 2 people playing, and just going back and forth on it, having all those memories as a kid. That was what games were, and more than like, there were so many, the market was so saturated with shooting games at the time, and like Time Splitters and GoldenEye and all that other stuff. And my family, we didn't really do sports games. We didn't have like Madden. We didn't do any of those kind of things. This was like the only sports game that we, Steve, Pete, and myself, we did. I know that, Mickey, you guys did Madden and things like that. I've played Madden over at your house, which I think we'll do a Mom's Basement on this eventually. But for me, this was the sports game, and it still is. So I give it a 5.
We could just do a Mom's Basement on football games.
Football games, yeah, in general.
I mean, you have NFL.
I know.
Blitz,
I'm kidding.
Have NFL 2K, and then you have Madden, which
football games. Yeah, I agree with Steve. Yeah, we'll just do the overall arguing football games, sports games. yeah, there it is. Yeah, we're going to talk about baseball and football and FIFA in this episode. It's 15 minutes long. All right. All right, guys. So that was it for Mom's Basement. This is it for Mom's Basement this week. Next time, we are going to be talking about Zelda: A Link to the Past. We will see you guys then. Thanks for watching, and we will be back in the next one.